After the surge of ICE agents came to Minnesota, Renee Good was shot and killed by a federal agent. She was in her car. That alone sparked a lot of outrage. And then this weekend, with the killing of Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse, I think the two shootings combined really led to Washington, D.C. and a number of lawmakers raising significant concerns. ICE stands for Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. It was something that began after the 9/11 attacks with the goal to really bolster national security, keep Americans safe, and identify and remove potential threats. ICE is housed under the Department of Homeland Security that is currently being held by Secretary Kristi Noem.
Last week, ICE did over 2,000 different operations, and we saw people be brought to justice and the American people made safer because of that work.
Past presidents have used it to look at folks who maybe, overstayed or weren't legally in the country, committed other crimes. But certainly under President Trump, ICE's mission has really ramped up in terms of the number of deportations, the number of arrests, and in terms of who is being targeted. ICE has about 22,000 employees. The most recent funding package that Congress passed gave the agency about $10 billion, but it's important to keep in mind that when Republicans passed Trump's mega bill, also referred to as the One Big Beautiful Bill, that alone included about $75 billion for ICE alone, and even more funding when it came to immigration enforcement. Right now, Congress is voting on a number of bills that would continue funding for the government. They've already funded part of the government, but the other part would run out by end of day Friday, January 30th. And Democrats, before this weekend, were ready to vote for that package of 6 funding bills, including funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. But after the events of this weekend, a number of Democrats have done a 180. They now say they are opposed to passing any additional funding until more safeguards are in place and until the situation is addressed.
We're not going to vote on this as a package. We should pull out the DHS part of the appropriations, have an independent vote on this, be able to have a public discussion about this.
So the chances of a government shutdown went from probably not going to happen to very likely to happen just over the weekend. And it's because of this concern about funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Some Democrats are calling for the impeachment of Secretary Noem. I think what Democrats are really looking for here is to be able to have confidence and faith that ICE and other federal officials are not going to wind up shooting and killing another American citizen, or I think really anyone else at this point.
President Trump's illegal deportation campaign is leaving Minnesotans and Americans detained, arrested, injured, and killed, all the while trampling on our basic civil rights and due process.
Some of the items that would be involved in a partial government shutdown would include defense, the parts of government that oversee healthcare and education, as well as labor. The Fed, they might not be specifically impacted, but other financial service agencies would be, as well as transportation, housing and urban development, national security, and State Department. Last time we saw a government shutdown, we did see that ICE and Customs and Border Patrol, many of their functions were listed as essential and did continue despite the fact that the shutdown went on.